my part, aside from getting to catch up for all the craziness that's probably happened on on both parts. But yeah, I basically wanted to have you share just all the wackiness that you've been through, right? Because you've been doing this whole internet broadcasting thing since the early 2000s, right? Because for the way I remember it, which is probably wrong, is I was doing an open mic night at a bar in Orlando, and that's where I was hammering nails up my nose and doing the mentalism thing. And then this biker chick looking woman walks up to me and she goes, "Hey, you ever go on the radio?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." And she goes, "I got a radio program for you." I was like, "All right." It's like it's this guy named Q. He does it from his house, and that was the first red flag. I was like, "Wait a minute, this
Now everybody does it. But like I
exactly."
don't know how back in the day, and I've been declared a new media pioneer for doing the things I did. Like I once fixed a problem with some tinfoil and soldering during a show while it was all going on. And then convincing sometimes really famous people to come into my house in the ghetto of Orlando. Not joking. Like I would have to go meet people in my letters I'd send them. I'm like, don't be scared when you make this turn. Tell me before you get there. Someone will come and walk you up. Like it was a miracle that it happened. I had some good word of mouth afterwards, or people just had no idea. I don't know which was which.
Yeah, that is literally true. People listening, no, that is actually what happens. Is that you're walking into this apartment complex and there are cars on blocks and that kind of thing, and then you're going into somebody's apartment. Like this is the makings of a horror story. But you were doing this in like when did you start your first actual broadcast was what year?
For I jumped on somebody else's show. Like someone was doing this weird thing called being a podcaster, and they wanted a funny guy to like sit in the corner and make jokes, which I was perfectly happy to do. So I think I did that like 2002, 2003. Um, but I would get frustrated on how things were run. I'm like, we could do more. That's like, I really just want to be a goofball, and I have this drive inside me that won't stop. And so I'm like, we should be doing more. We could do all these things, and they were content not to. And so I said, I'm doing it myself, and it's just snowballed from there. So much so that then I gained all this experience. I had been a performer before and been in the arts and entertainment, but that gave me credibility and all these connections all over the world. So in the middle of it, I went to law school because I said, how can I do more and help where I'm at right now? And so I went to law school in Orlando, and I'm a lawyer now, and was happily servicing I like to say all the weird entertainers like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't really describe what they do, chances are they've come to me for help. I translate artist to business and business to artist and make sure that what your plans are, I can make that happen. And what other people are, I can explain you to them. And everything was kind of going along swimmingly until this year.
Yeah.
Disaster. Disaster. Um, all entertainment stopped. Uh, no shows, no nothing. I did contracts, contract reviews. I did small business consultations. All of those things not happening, and it's getting worse. My news feed right now is a slaughterhouse. I'm sure yours are too.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the number of people that worked at theme parks, I don't know
Yep.
how you could justify paying all that money to a theme park with none of the shows, none of the actors, none of them are there, and it's devastating. But those are my clients, and that all went away, like everything. And I had multiple sources of income. Uh, I like talking to people and I like being a dumbass. So I would bartend and serve. One, it's great money. Two, keeps me humble. And three, just a lot of fun. Nobody knew how old I was. I was passing for a mid millennial, maybe. I don't know. Something. Gonna be generous to myself. Uh, I, I was like, there's no way that the restaurants that I'm at will ever go under. They're corporate. They're known around the world. Like, and gone. Absolutely gone. And in one day, I lost everything I had worked for and still was doing so much better than other people because I was able to float myself for a few months. It's all gone now. All my money. Bye bye. No more. Don't have
Yeah.
any of that. Um, and in the middle of like unemployment didn't work for me. I eventually got it, but all those problems you heard about Florida unemployment happened. And I'm a guy who's paid into it. I've been working since I was 16 and had nothing. And so I'm like, well, got to go out and get a job. Oh, wait, there's no jobs.
Right.
And that's where being nice to people has really paid off to me. Like forming genuine relationships. Like you started as an interview subject. I list you as a friend, as an
Mm-hmm.
entire friend
Like an
that I can
actual
talk
human
to
being
about
person connection.
a
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
connection. You know, like we know what's going on in each other's lives because we bother.
Yeah.
And we might live far away, but the internet connects us and we can stalk each other really easy. Um, and I formed those. Well, because of that, someone that used to be my intern when I was a corporate trainer at Universal Studios uh, worked with somebody else at a bowling alley as a marketer who's now a general manager for a brewery. And he said, I can't find a consistent bartender that if no manager shows up, they'll just run the restaurant. And she says, I got a guy. And I showed up and I started doing it. And I'm like, this is great. This is great. Okay, I'm rebuilding. But COVID kept happening. And every time there's a bad news story, nobody comes in. No one comes in, and they can't see my smiling personality and talk to them about beer. So I put it out into the universe again, like literally. I thought I would have to move back home with my mom in New York State after being slightly over 40 years old, not being able to afford it because I spent all my money on paying my bills and not being behind. And I'm like, I don't, I'm lucky enough to have something. I don't know if there's any more in the tank universe, but I could
Right.
sure use a break for a guy who wants to work real hard. And uh, people I knew from the music business that are, I call them my soccer buddies. We have season tickets to the local soccer team here. And so that didn't happen this year. But I still know them, and one of them worked for a university about an hour outside of Orlando. It is the first accredited university that caters to adults who learn different, that have learning disabilities, autism, ADHD, other neurological things. People that can do it, but need a chance, that need to be taught in different ways, not your traditional type of things. And they said, we want to teach law at this school. It's undergraduate. They're like, we don't know any lawyers. And she said, I know one. Scheduled an interview. I said, who am I up against? And she goes, it depends on you. I only scheduled one, and I figured if you blew it, I'd schedule another one. As of August, I am a college professor. For the first time in 2 decades, I have insurance. Like, I saw a doctor and got medicine for $10 total. 10. Our healthcare system is so screwed up and sad that I just went, wait, these are things I used to pay hundreds of dollars for or save up or just go, well, I think I'll die. And that's not that's what happens. Like for years, I ran a cancer charity because my dad, as a teacher, had wonderful insurance. And when he got sick, people wanted to give him things. And he said, no, give that sample down the hall. To learn a little bit about me, he also ran an accounting business from his home in addition to being a teacher. So that's kind of where I get my like, do it all, keep moving forward, help everybody. Um, he's like, no, I do that man's taxes. Give this to him. He would give things away that were given to him. So I did a cancer charity and did just that because it was so hard to keep up with some of the basics, and have moved on from that once we did everything I wanted to do with that and helped the places I wanted to help. But I've never lost that attitude. And I see that now that I'm like, I'm good for the next year. You sign a 1-year contract. Um, COVID's a weird thing. I don't have any interaction with other faculty. I teach in person and on Zoom at the same time. I try to teach in multiple different ways. People who are visual learners, people who are auditory, people like everything. Uh, my midterm was take home, and I did a dramatic reenactment for those who just needed to listen to it. Like, I'm using I'm just throwing everything at it. Next semester, I'm teaching criminal law, and I found a course book that is also a graphic novel.
Awesome.
I'm out there swinging, man. I am out there swinging, and I look up, and I'm like, holy crap, Johnny's doing stuff too. Like when I see people not doing anything, not even practicing, you're like, I'm launching something brand new.
Here's something else.
Something else.
Here's the
People,
next thing.
please, people, I'm trying for you.
Yeah.
But I think that's why, we keep coming back to each other like, hi, friend, because we're both out there going like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm trying my best. And I'm trying to bring people along with me when I do it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, this happened from my comment going, I'm in, to supporting what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
me just being there and going like, I love it. Keep doing it. I'm glad you're out there in the world.
Exactly, because that is such a winding road that you've never been in the standard social narrative of what should be done by most normal people.
No,
And
not normal.
and it seems like if you fit the mold, if you get your corporate job the day you graduate from normal college, then you fit in the system, and as broken as the system is, it still rewards you for being firmly entrenched in it. But the instant you decide to be a internet radio host in 2002, 2003, what do you do with that? I have no clue. Therefore, you're just out of the game. You're just kind of a non-person. and and then it's that kind of honor amongst thieves. Everybody that's outside the normal pathway kind of has to band together, and that's how you know everybody for the past 10, 15, 20 years is I know a guy who
I know
fits
a
that
guy.
really, really weird,
I,
super bizarre
I say that all the
setup.
time. People come to me. I get questions like, you look like you know somebody. And I'm like, probably. Um, yeah, probably. Whatever it is. I teach, in addition to law, they said, look, we right now we have one class. Next semester I'm expanding, so I'll be primarily teaching law. So it must have gone good.
Nice,
Um,
nice.
but they said, are you willing to teach career courses? My college is very big on, um, like, remember, these students sometimes need a little extra help. So we lay it all out for you. Like, this is how to do a resume. This is how to do an elevator pitch. All this stuff. So I teach a sophomore course called Career Exploration. How do we decide what we want to do, what's in our hearts, and all of this? And I started by writing down every job I've ever held, from babysitter to college professor. And I mean, it includes cruise staff host, radio DJ. I've been in several jobs in radio, terrestrial and podcast, and all of that. actor, performer, singer. I was a touring artist. I've been a judge for musical events, like all of these random things. And I said, I have the same skills that I've always had. I've had the same aptitude that I've always had. And this is what you can do with the skills that you have. You don't have to do that one job. You can, and it could work out great for you. But if you want to go anywhere different, you want to take a break and you want to do something weird and then come back, you haven't done something so different. Like I've had jobs tell me, well, like, that's not in our field. And I'm like, no, that's exactly in your field. This is exactly how I can do it. And 20 seconds later, they're like, yes, yes, please come and join us. And that's what I'm teaching right now. The whole like, you don't have to be normal, but if you are, that's great. I'm even weirder in that I did fantastic at school. I'm an awesome test taker. I could sit quietly, listen, and take notes, and then repeat everything that you say because I'm an auditory learner. Um, all the things that would put me squarely in like go to a known college, and I did, like do the whole thing. I just looked around and went, I don't like those people. Personality wise, there was an authenticity missing.
Hmm.
And when I got into the music business, that's when I found my home. That's when I found the people I related to. The people that can go, how are things? And they're like, I'm not really good right now.
Actually honest. They'll give you that
Actually honest, they're
answer.
like, not really good. And not really worried about, oh, someone's gonna think I'm weak or I'm stupid because I'm going through a rough patch. Because these people they've already had the discrimination based on their tattoos or their haircut or what shirt they wanted to wear. So when it comes to some of the emotional stuff, they're like, I don't know what to do. And that's something you can work with on a human level, and you can relate to it. Uh, about 3 months ago, yeah, about 3 months ago, I had somebody call me, and they were in pretty bad shape. They're like, I don't have any of the stuff that you have. I don't have any options. I'm absolutely done with this year. I'm done with myself. And I said, in a few months ago, before I was a college professor with insurance, I was literally sitting on the edge of my bed going, I have nothing left. I don't have any tricks to pull out. But 3 months has made the world of difference. 3 months of just working ahead towards nothing. You don't know what you're working for. Just just work. Just try it. I said 3 months has been life altering for me. Give me 3 months. At the end of 3 months, you're in the same position. Your choices are yours. And I talked to him yesterday, and he said, I'm moving to this a whole other state with somebody that I knew, but now like we're together, and we're getting a place. I've got a lead on a job that's more money than I've ever made in my life, and this is what I'm going to do. And you're right. 3 months ago would have been a horrible decision. Now, look what I'm doing. And that's not the only conversation I've had
Yeah.
with people.
And
And people
it's
had that
amazing.
conversation with me.
Yeah, because you never know. That's why like your 5-year goal plans to me never ever have made sense. Because yeah, in 90 days you could have met somebody and it's a perfect match and get a crazy job opportunity. And that I think is a huge lesson for people who are afraid to start something because they don't see where it goes, because they can't imagine that it would be successful, and therefore I'm not going to start. But you're guaranteeing that it can't go anywhere if you don't create it in the first place.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
and all those reasons. Well, it'll be a weird gap in my employment history. It's like I was a babysitter on Monday and a college professor on Thursday, and then next Tuesday I'll be a bartender. It doesn't matter as long
No.
as you know how to talk to people. That's basically kind of your meta skill of those quote unquote soft skills that don't matter. Everybody goes to college for the technical training, for the engineering. Nobody ever studies how do you just be friendly and be able to make friends with everybody all the time anywhere you go. That's a superpower.
And mean it.
That's it. And
And
actually mean it and not be a
and
sleazy bastard about it.
actually mean it. I list my friends as my greatest resource and an asset. Um, you were talking about like how do we know if it's going to be a success? I'm a lawyer. How would you like to define it?
It's all what
Well,
the definition of is.
yeah, we
Yeah.
can do, but you can do that. What is success? It doesn't mean $1 million in a mansion. If I had like a mansion, I'd probably fill it up with all of my friends, and it would be the strangest, most glorious house known to man. You'd be there. You would
Yep.
totally be. But it's defining those things. I used to do every year. I had a show, an episode called Geek Week, like Shark Week only drier, and man, that was mostly my humor, dry humor. And I would ask people like not just nerd stuff, like, "Oh, you're into Star Wars. Let's talk about that." I defined it as, is there something that you are super into that someone else would like look at you from the side eye and go, "That's different." Um, I mean, it could be knitting. It could be all kinds of things that you get super into. I've talked to people who are like, I bowl 4 nights a week at different leagues. Like, that's different. But I got them to share their passion about that. Are they going to be professional bowlers? No. But are they now a mentally stable individual with healthy relationships and everything? Because they indulged something and they didn't have to define their success by the traditional routes? Absolutely. And so when we start these things, like I'm going to do a podcast, I have plenty of friends that uh, want to do podcasts now. And I'm like, that's awesome. They're like, you should do one. And I'm like, I did it. I'm literally right now just waiting, going, what's going to be the next weird thing that no one understands? I'm going to do that. Um, but I break it down. I'm like, here's what you want to do if you want it to be a business. But I always ask them, what's your goal? What do you want out of this? Connections, credibility, experience, money? What is it? And then I tailor my consults that way. And I also tell them, don't forget to have fun because no one's paying you to do this. You're you're earning it. You're whatever you get, you earn. So, like my job, if I have a bad day, I need to suck that up because someone is paying me every single week to do it. And I will. They take dignity for money. That's the exchange. But when you do something like podcasting or different other realm, you start your own business. No one's paying you. So you got to get something out of it right away. You have to cash your weekly paycheck. And you have to be rewarded in some way, whether it's fun, whether it's experience, learning something new, just keeping you busy. I found out really quick I'm not the personality that stays all by himself all the time. Quarantine was awful for me. I just wander around downtown Orlando talking to homeless people. This is a true story. I got to know all of them. I fed them. Like I would bring them food because
Yeah. Yeah. What else are you going to be doing?
there was nothing. It was totally empty except for like some rebels going around getting to-go drinks from the few bars that would sell you to-go drinks, and then you watch people like walk around hiding their drinks as they walked around downtown Orlando.
Yeah. Yeah. There's two points that I want to touch on is the how you define success. And I was really fortunate. I mean, us meeting in, what was it, 2003,
2007 probably.
2006, maybe, I don't know. And just seeing how much fun that was, because back way back in the day, for the younger folk who, oh lord, we're already getting old, but it was like Winamp, and it was cutting edge that you could listen to an online stream of music. So Groove FM was the Winamp channel that I knew how to dial into. It wasn't even a dial, right? But even on college campus, I was like, "Oh my god, how are you getting the music over the internet? That's amazing!" And that was the time that you were doing podcasting, and it's 2020, and people are like, "This new thing called podcasting." You're like, "Okay, sure." So I've been really fortunate to know people doing really weird stuff really early, and also I've seen really really successful people who were miserable. I got to
Yeah.
consult for some folks that you would recognize their name if I said it, and got to spend a week hanging out, just talking shop, and also getting a glimpse into their personal life and what every day is like. I was like, okay, they're making millions of dollars. They're literally world famous, and by every metric known to the general population, are wildly successful on a level few people could ever dream of being. And I don't want that. I don't want it in that version, because that flavor of success looks like an unholy prison to me. I will not be successful like that. And then learning to uncouple my drive for, I have to be successful in these external terms. Oh, I can let go of that. And that's made all the difference in the world. And then the second part is, I always I always like to judge every project by three criteria. It has to have at least two for me to be super enthusiastic about it, and one is barely going to cut it. But it's pay, passion, prestige. Is this thing going to get me paid? Is it something I'm super passionate about? Or is it just going to establish me as a person who knows about this thing because I like being a person who knows about that thing? So most of my life has been about the passion and prestige, very little about the pay, but
Right there with you,
that's it.
man. Woohoo.
Yep. Yep. But that's why it's always perplexing to me how perplexed most people are about people like us who are so far off the beaten path, because they're like, I can't even imagine how you guys live. Like, how do you live like that? And to me, it's like, how could you not?
Yeah,
The
yeah, I don't know where it is. I had a discussion with one of my classes. They said like there's a project due, and I said I'll always get grades in 48 hours because I hated when I would not get grades for months. So I don't do that. But I did say it won't be in 24. It will be in 48, but you're gonna get that. And they're like, why not? And I said, well, I'm getting a tattoo on Monday night, so I'm gonna have to stop my grading early. And they all just sort of stopped, like, did our college professor just say he's getting like a tattoo? I'm like, yes. So then I took a poll. How many people don't have any tattoos? And a bunch of people raised their hand. I'm like, you're all freaky people. When I went to law school, I went to a private Catholic law school. Uh, I'm used to it. I went to Catholic high school. I'm a private school product. I went to private Catholic university at Fordham in New York. So I'm like, it's a great education. And it was here in Orlando. I had been in the music business like 20 years at that point before I went to school. And I stepped on campus to see collared shirts and clean cut hair and no gauges and no visible tattoos. And I got nervous. Like when someone walks into a biker bar and they get nervous, I got nervous when I looked at those people. I'm like, those are really freaky people. They will probably call police and sue me of some sort. Like that's the type of people they, my I need to get to a really dirty, smoky bar quickly. so I could feel safe. But it's a matter of perspective, and yeah, one day I always say that the money will come, um, but it's not about that. It I have so many rich stories and friendships, and if things were to end tomorrow, I couldn't ask for more because I have squeezed every bit out of it. Um, my mom is still amazed at everything. Like, God bless that woman, because every time I say, like, I do this, and she's always like, that's great. Um, my grandmother once said, she wrote me a letter and said, I don't know what you do, but you really seem to be good at it, and you sure seem to have a lot of fun.
I love that.
And um, I had asked my mom, hey, do you have like what parenting advice? Like, what did you do that I ended up like this, both so I could fix what's wrong and preserve what's good? And she said, I don't know, but you've never given up. You keep trying, even when something seems weird and out of the box. Like, I show up and on people that are visual learners, trying to make the subject of law a visual course is very difficult. It's lecture heavy. It is what it is. There's no like, you get half credit. You don't. Um, and me finding a teaching comic book to do that. And I was like, I don't know. I went to the dean. I'm like, I want to try this. And then to also have them embrace it and going, try it, anything you can, but you don't give up. And to hear because I've never taught college before in my life. I've been an instructor. In my interview, I'm like, well, if I can teach the music business to bassists, I can teach people with learning disabilities. Uh, Sorry, bassists. It's really true though. Um, and and also, I like, to be really honest, in my whole career, I've been surrounded by the weirdest people I've ever met. They're the greatest people. I love the weirdos. I'm a weirdo. Therefore, everyone's got their quirks. Your quirk is you don't read so well, or numbers aren't your thing. Your quirk is something else. I'm like, so what? Mike, I'll wait till I tell you mine. We'll have a great time talking over that. Um, and this school embraced that. They're like, we need somebody who won't give up on our students. We need somebody who will always keep trying to improve. We can't teach that. That skill, like, we can't teach that. They're like, we can teach you all these other things. Like, I got a phone call on a weekend. They're like, where are your midterm grades? And I said, well, only one class had a midterm, and the school gave an extension for it. So I don't have any grades. And they're like, but you still need the midterm grades. I'm like, but for what? And it was like, who's on first? Because they meant the grades up until this point as a progress report. And I took that to mean an exam grade. And so for a good 5 minutes, it was like, I'd love to put in a grade, but I don't have anything to put in a grade to. And they're like, well, what have you been doing all semester? I'm like, well, we've been working. Like, what do you think?
We've been doing class.
We've been doing, and finally it came out, and they're like, we forgot you were new. Because of COVID, there hasn't been, there's no reviews, there's no nothing. They
Right.
literally sent me a flash drive and some books, and I showed up and started teaching. And they were like, oh, we forgot. They're like, you should do this. I'm like, oh. I'm like, well, yes, I've kept a grade book and I have it. I need a few hours to input it, please. And they're very understanding. They were like, oh yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. This is what we need. And then I'm like, school stuff, gotta learn. Um, but it's the never giving up on it. It's always trying. And when I say never giving up, that also means knowing when to let go of what's not working, but not wallowing in that or finding that as a defeat in some way. Because letting go and pushing something aside can be a great strength. It's one that I need to learn more in my life. I wish I had let things and people go sooner than I had. I'm still learning that, but being able to know when to give up, but not when to give up certain things, but not to give up.
Right. Yeah.
Try something new.
Dude, that's a huge one for me too, because I had that I have to be a full-time performer, otherwise I'm going to be a failure. Like as a human being, this is the sole way I know how to relate myself to the world.
If
And
I was a high school drama teacher, I'd do it.
yeah, and holding on to that meant that I didn't get any side jobs, no side gigs, and then I was ultra broke to the point of my car getting repossessed on my girlfriend's birthday. We walk outside and my car's gone, and I'm like, "Oh, that's
That's
why."
a great story.
Yeah, that was the first time it got repossessed. Then it got repossessed a second time.
Oh
But
no.
the horrible part is that I talked my way out of both of them. And I called the it was CarMax. Like I bought the car from CarMax. That's who I owed all the money to that I had been paying for 8 months, but I had moved. So my my address on record was not where they were looking for it. So that's why they didn't find it until 8 months and then they found it. So I called up CarMax and said, "Hey, I just am getting some gigs lined up. So I'll be able to pay you back once I do the gigs, but I can't get there if you have the sole means of me getting around. So what do you say? Just charge me whatever you want, any penalties, anything you want. I'll sign off on it. Just add it to the back end of what I already owe you guys. Like, look, this is a good deal for you. Here's how many miles I've driven. It's 200,000 miles in a couple years. You're not going to make any money off this car. So it's actually in everybody's best interest to let me get it back." And they're like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Here you go."
That is 2020 reasoning at its finest, ahead of the curve, man. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year has made it acceptable to have job gaps, to do other weird other things. Try it to reorganize your credit. If you need to do that, if you have to have a credit disaster, have it this year because no one will question it. 2 years ago, you're a horrible person who didn't pay your bills and you can't be trusted, scum of the earth. And now you're like, oh, you've been through 2020. Of course, your credit rating is 4, and
yep,
do it now. Like I've advised people. I'm like, now's the time to do it. Do it this year, and
yep.
you'll be able to. But yeah, that's some 2020 reasoning, sir.
Yeah, it was brutal. And eventually when I was like, this whole just being a performer thing is not working. And also like I was getting super upset that this thing I had dedicated my life to, I couldn't squeeze money out of it. And then I was getting ultra upset at myself for being incompetent and come on, you've got world class skills. Why can't you make this thing make money for you? So I was learning to resent the thing I had loved for the longest. And when I finally went, let me put my skills to better use, and then started talking to companies and then getting hired as a marketing consultant and basically working a corporate 9 to 5 job, it's awesome. I was like, I just get to talk to people all day long, and my wacky experience. I've got I've got a relatable story for every single type of business owner I'm talking to all day, every day. And then they pay me to just have fun and talk shop. Like, this is awesome. And now, with COVID shutting everything down and all my speaking gigs, all my performance, all my in person trade shows getting shut down, that forced me to do the online stuff because at first I was like, this online thing is the stupidest thing on the planet. It's not live entertainment. It's not the same. But now it's like front row seats for everybody. And that's really cool. And now I can do a corporate performing gig in the evening all I got to do is put on my suit in the same video studio, and I do the consulting during the day, and then I close out that browser, open this other browser, and now I'm back into the performing world. I don't even have to leave the house. Like
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Although I love leaving the house. You, you say like, oh, I didn't know this could work. Do you remember you and I booked you as a performer for a charity event when you weren't even in town? We pre-filmed everything, and I interacted with the video that you pre-recorded, and the bit worked beautifully. It was as if you were there. We proved that you didn't need to be a real person. Like, we could just film all your stuff. I had full out conversations with you on the
Mm-hmm.
video, uh, and your mentalist trick, it worked without a hitch, and everyone was amazed at it, and people were like, "That's amazing! He did it from afar."
I had totally forgotten that. It's not even just that I did it from afar. I did it from a different time. Like I was in a different place and a different
No,
time.
we completely pre-recorded it, and you were like, "If this doesn't work, don't put my name on it," because it was all up to me to sell it as the host, to interact with it,
Yep.
and to get who was running my tech that day to make sure, like, when I spoke and then you spoke, and it was all very seamless. It worked. So what you're
Yeah.
doing now, you've always done.
That's true. Yeah. Man, I had totally forgotten about that.
Yes, we have it, and that's how I tell people, you have experience that you don't know. When I now teach people how to write like resumes, and all the career center people hate me because I'm like, you put that down. That is valuable experience. People will pay for that. They don't care if you've had a job. They don't. There's people that are like, I didn't. It wasn't a real job. I didn't get paid. It wasn't even an internship. I literally worked for sandwiches one semester to get experience in entertainment law. If I showed up, they bought me lunch. That's all that I did. I'm like, that was a real job. I learned from that job. I used what I've learned now from that job. Put it down. Put all the things that you do down. That that charity event, yeah. Yeah, you can describe how you can design multimedia functions and have a quantifiable result in the money that we raised. And then people sit there and like they go, "Whoa." I'm like, yes, why? Because my talent that I've had since birth has been a bullshitter. How I can explain anything? My poor parents. Luckily, I came from somewhere, so they were like, no, no. But it's very good. Try that on somebody else, but not here. But
Not
I've always done that, and
yeah.
now I'm teaching others to do just that. So that what we did, piecing together that charity event, and coming up with that multimedia bit when that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, cuz that
Um,
was years ago.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's the thing is all
or a
the
gift for music.
yeah, and all the overly self-critical and cynical people are like, "Well, now you're just misrepresenting and lying about stuff." It's not that. It is learning to let go of the overly restrictive boundaries that the goalkeepers want to keep you inside of, so that you can be controlled and to be kept in your pen of acceptable things to be doing. But when you learn to step outside that standard narrative and just go, yeah, here's a whole bunch of wacky stuff that I did, and here are the skills I developed because of it, and here's what they can get you in this corporate environment, then they're going, oh my god, yeah, we need to teach a college course about this.
Oh,
You're like, yeah.
last month I broke down different social media apps by their usage in your career and in starting your career. And somebody in the administration was like, "Are you teaching TikTok in your class?" And I'm like, yes. And they said, we don't think it's appropriate. And I'm like, well, here's how I broke it down and on people making a lot of money. Here's how corporations are getting into it. Here's how regular people are making a living. Here's how to use it to get a job. And I'm like, here it is. So what if people think it's weird or inappropriate, I know I'm on the right track because I apply the exact same principles. Remember, like I'm a guy who's super educated. So at the bottom of it all, I'm like, yes, I those are principles that I've learned and I do apply. I just don't tell people. I like I like what you said about kind of being who you are, uh, because a lot of times I don't tell people what I do. I don't tell people I'm a lawyer. They see me in a different way and they act a different way. So I usually tell people I'm a server or a bartender. Um, and then I find out who they are, and I learn. Now I tell people I'm a teacher. I don't tell people that like I go by Professor Q because I'm an X-Men fan and I thought that sounded like some sort of villain and I wanted that.
That's great.
And not too many people have got it except for like my nerd friends. And they're like, seriously, Professor Q? And I'm like, yes, this is the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing ever. But in all of the like having authenticity type of things, it's very important and it's always important to me to never oversell yourself. Look back on the things and sell those things that like, really? Oh yes, I did have that experience. Sell that. That's unique. That is definitely something that you want to share and celebrate. Um, but you never want to cross the line into saying things that you aren't or can't do. Like I'm a big fan of the Ray Bradbury jump off the cliff and build your wings on the way down, and always say yes, 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 I can do that. I when the first person that said, "Can I come in studio?" I said yes, and I didn't have a studio. I built one in a week in my spare room. If
Yep.
you've been there, if you
Yep.
were there, it's many, many, many apartments ago. But I never told people it was more than what it was. I didn't say like, come to my studio, it's awesome. I'm like, I have a home studio. It's in the middle of a very scary place. You will be safe.
Yeah.
But here are my numbers. This is what I do. And it's that honesty, that genuineness that has allowed my connections and friendships to be able to form. People I'm not friends with, I'm still very well respected. And it's mutual because of that. Nobody tells me like I'm a giant rock star. Really? I saw all 15 people out there and your 75 Instagram followers. Tell me how you're important again. Uh, but if you're saying, look, I'm trying real hard. This is what I do. I'm really proud of what I've done, and this is what I'm trying to do to get it out there. That's who I want to work with. Those are the people that aren't going to give up. Because if you let on that you're something you're not and you're found out, people fold. They go away, they hide, they move on to do something else so no one will know their secret shame. And that's not how we do business. And that's not how we interact. Those aren't stable relationships that we have. But if we're
Yeah.
real honest about what we can do, and that also means looking back and, oh, really? That's experience? It sure is. It sure is. And saying those things and how to present things like, this is how TikTok is great for your career. Can you get fired because of it? Sure, but I could get fired for a lot of things. I have been fired for a lot of things. But it's the authenticity.
Yeah.
Uh,
The
I
louder
think
you are
that,
about who
that
you are and what you can do, the easier time the people who want that can find you.
mm-hmm,
And the longer you are that, the bigger your pool of awesome people who want more of it gets too. So it's not lying, it's not misrepresenting, it's being honest about who and what you are and what you can do, and then also being able to interpret what it is into terms that a new person will be able to hear. Oh yeah, I was fire eating when I was 18 years old. I was hammering nails up my nose when I was 15. I've always been a self starter. I can learn complex motor skills very quickly. That kind of thing. So being accurate but being loud about it is also important.
I call it putting your best foot forward. And also, it's really erasing stereotypes. You and I probably get the exact same ones. As a mentalist, oh, you're fooling people. You're lying to people and tricking them. I'm an attorney, right? Some people just be like, you just get up and tell lies about bad people. I'm like, no, I put their best foot forward. Some of my greatest successes, my clients went to prison, not for as long as they might have gone. Um, I remember one person, because I always sit down, like, what's your goal? Like, this is what we face. This is what you've done. What is your goal? And I had one person said, I want to be able to hold my daughter on like her 15th birthday and to put this behind me. You got 10 years for a lot of things, for a lot of stuff. That case found me in the room with the Secret Service. I was not prepared for that. When I looked around, I'm like, why are you all having the same suit? And I'm like, oh, it was actual federal. Um, but the what he got from it, and it wasn't a plea deal. We still had to go before a judge and argue what we got. Um, he, in about a year and a half, will be able to do just what his goal is and move forward. And that's a success. I didn't lie to anybody. That some of his victims or things certainly would have other things to say about that. But at the end of the day, when we're wronged, we also have to think about what would make us feel good versus what's right and ethical as well, and a very global approach to things. And so, no, I put my best foot forward. I put their best foot forward. I'm not lying. I have an ethical obligation not to lie to the court. Like, if you think lawyers are liars and manipulators, no, I have a license attached to this. You can take my professional livelihood if I do that. But convincing people, regular people, that no, I'm just putting a best foot forward. I'm not lying. I'm not manipulating. I'm just using all the tools that life has given me to work it out the best for me and for those around me. Because that's always been part of my philosophy. Climb up the ladder, reach your hand back. That's why I didn't go into like, how can I be the most famous podcaster in the world? No, I went, what more can I do with this that will help people?
Yeah,
And that's what I
that's
do now.
that's a great way to put it, because I've had that in my own personal life too, where I've literally had friends of friends. So I started dating somebody, and
Woo-hoo!
then their friend came to them saying, "Hey, you have to watch out. Jonathan he's a magician. He's a trickster. He
Right.
lies. He's going to be lying to you."
Your pants are coming off
Right,
tonight
exactly. So
very
they
slowly.
straight up warned that I'm a liar, and then the person I was dating was like, "What is he? What like?" He's gonna lie me into a great relationship. This is fantastic. Like he's
please,
awesome.
please hypnotize me and make me completely enamored and happy for the rest of my life.
Right. Oh no. What? How Machiavellian. And a big part of it is, yeah, as a professional on stage liar, I've always wanted to be ultra honest in my personal life and give everybody all the information that they need to make a fully informed decision for whether to stay in this orbit or not. But at least you have all the information, not going to be holding something back. So it's kind of weird of that honor among thieves and magicians and lawyers actually being more honest and direct than the common perception is kind of a weird dichotomy.
A lot of it, it's projection. People don't understand what they're not into, and when you do things that are different, which we both have done, that require a lot of explaining. My own grandmother really never knew what I did. She understood lawyer, clung on to that, but she would also see all these other things, and she's like, I don't really get that. Always had to explain, what am I doing? And so it's just become second nature. Other people, regular people, normies, don't know. And so they're used to always covering up and projecting something else, putting out on Facebook what's great. On my social media, you see, like, look at Q go, he's doing some amazing things. And the next day you're like, oh, I hope he does better. And I put it all out there. Like, I'm a whole person. My social media is a whole person. Um, I am on top of the world sometimes, and sometimes it's a challenge to dig myself out of it. I recognize that in myself.
Yeah,
But it's a worthy challenge every day, and I put that out there. So when you see it, yes, am I capable? Am I driven? Have I been successful? Am I successful? Absolutely. Do I have days that I struggle? Yes. Do I have challenges? Yes. Are they everyday challenges? Sure. Last week, I managed to lose my car keys from my parking lot to my apartment. I had to take an Uber to a CVS to get a battery for my other key fob, and then Uber back, and then wonder if someone was going to find my key and steal my car. Now I have better car insurance because I called them up and, like, on curiosity, if someone were to steal my car and because they found a key,
for
what
no particular
insurance?
reason. Just
No
wondering.
particular reason. What insurance should I buy right now? So do you know those healthy choice dinners that are in a bowl and the edges of the bowl stick out of the box? Okay, it's a thing. Well, when I threw my key in the bag, it went in the box next between the bowl and the box. One day, when I didn't feel like cooking, I took the frozen dinner out of my freezer a full week later, opened up the box, and a frozen key fob comes flying out. My challenges are the same as everybody else. Like this, I spent all week, like every day I walk out, like, is my car there? Is today the day someone finds like the lottery and they walk around like, doot doot, woohoo, I got a new car. No, after I defrosted it, it works. I have challenges in the weirdest ways that I got to get through and figure out what to do because I'm like, it's 7 o'clock at night. I got work in the morning. I can't call out lost key.
What a weird loop to have in the back of your head for a week. That just kind of low grade, constant back of the mind worry of,
Not fun.
is my car going to be there? So now it your whole
Every
day
time.
adjusts because, well,
All day.
I got to go a little earlier to account for having to call for the Uber for it to get here to take me where I need to go. And then that's just playing on loop the whole time.
All of it. All of it prepared to do. I had to do mock interviews for one of my career classes. On the way to my school, I ran over a screw, had to stop twice to get air in there. Found out that where I teach college is an hour outside of Orlando. Everything shuts down at 5. I wouldn't have time after work to then get AAA out there to do it. Everything would be closed. So and also AAA won't give you rides anymore because of COVID. You can't ride with the person. So I had to coordinate when AAA would arrive and an Uber to get to the tire place because it was right on the side sticking out. If I drove, it could have just ripped and I crashed and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Um, but I had interviews every hour and half hour that I made on Zoom. I went to the tire office manager. I'm like, this is gonna sound weird. Can I use your office? I just need somewhere quiet, please. 15 minutes. That's all I need. I'm a college professor. Hi, Professor Q. Nice to meet you. I'm also a supervillain. I literally did interviews. They popped up and there's stacks of tires behind me. And that was me showing my students, I'm like, I got it done. I showed up for every appointment. I never made any excuse. Do I have problems? Absolutely. And I deal with them all the time. And some of them are weird, like, how did you get your key inside a TV dinner box for a week? But you've got to take those problems. Everybody has that weird thing. Talk to people enough, they will be like, oh yeah, I did this. This is how I was messed up for a week. And once we strip it all away and realize that you can have these great successes and help people and also be a hot mess, which is human, that's what life is. If we can accept ourselves as that and accept others as that, life gets more tolerable. That's where I'm at in 2020. I'm tolerating things better now than I was months ago. I'm looking forward to things getting better. I'm doing what I can to try to make it better for me and those around me, and then just hoping.
Yeah. So that's about as good a place to stick the landing as any. So for the folks who are just going, all right, this Q character person thing, I gotta know him. Do you have a landing spot for them to head to? Where would be the best place for them to follow the adventures of Q?
I'm all over social media. My Instagram is at Q's House. I'm at Q's House on Twitter / Q Shear on Facebook. You'll find me. I put all my stuff out there. If you want drinking stories, find me on Snapchat. I'm Sugar Snap Q. I keep that one strictly inappropriate. But um, but yeah, that's that's me. QEntertainmentLaw.com would be if you want to take a look at my professionalness, which I promise to be in every other aspect of my life, always a professional no matter what I'm doing. It just depends on what I'm doing at the time. But
Yeah.
I'm a fun follow. I accept people as friend requests and things like that, and it's always a part of building a great network and resource.
You
You
know,
don't need me now, that's fine. You may never need me. Just enjoy the memes, man. We're in this together, and you just never know. So I look forward to the new connections that I'm making.
beautiful. The and that's been one of the things that I've loved about knowing you for as long as I have is that I know that no matter what, you've been through just as much weird stuff as I have, and that I won't have to explain anything. It's like,
No, yeah,
oh, so this is the situation you're in? Yeah, I've been there 3 times in the past 5 years. So yeah, it's here we go. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't
but
feel bad about this.
but
Great.
let me break it down to its core. Here's the reasoning, and it keep asking why. If you can keep asking why, you haven't got to your root cause, and I can break it all down. All the stuff up there, like there were these alligators and people dressed in these things. Like, okay, that's all set decoration. What is it that we're really trying to do?
I love it. Awesome. Well, dude, thanks. Mainly for being you.
Anytime. I said, I'm just like I wrote you on Facebook. I'm in.
That's
I'm
it.
in. You come up with an idea, I'm in. If I don't understand it, I'm still in.
We'll figure it out on the way down. I
Yeah,
love it.
we do.
Yep.
Uh, how do I tell people to listen, and how do you like this described to people?
Ooh. Um. Normally, I cut it up and put it into more packaged podcasting, uh,
Yeah.
pod thing, and that is mindreaderuniversity.com, because that's the whole conceit, is that after a decade and a half of people going, "Did you go to college for mind reading?" It was such a stupid question that I was like, there should be a mind reader university. There isn't, so I'm gonna make
There's a
one.
Trump one.
Right, exactly. I was like,
Might as
that's
well be
that's enough
you.
justification for me. So the whole idea is that the books that I write, the video courses, basically me just explaining how I think about things, because it's that life experience, right? That's just so far outside most people's realm of imagination. So everything that I've been creating, I just now call it course material. And the podcast is every week I bring in different professors to talk about whatever their topic of
I'm an
expertise
actual
is.
one.
And you're an actual
Did you
professor.
have Q becomes a college professor on your 2020 bingo card?
I
Because
did not.
I didn't. I didn't. Like, I'm legit. I got an office. I have office hours.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Um, for the first time, I feel that my work matters. Like, what I do and how I do it has a lasting impact on people, and it's really kind of cool.
Isn't that
It's
weird?
it's
It,
neat. I didn't
yeah.
think, and I know I'm this may not be where I end up, um, but it's certainly doing pretty good for right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm off the entire month of December. I don't start classes until January 19th.
Wow.
I'm off
As
June
part of the
and
plan,
July.
not as a unforeseen circumstance, but just as part of the experience.
Yeah,
Wow,
enjoy
it's amazing.
with
Like,
insurance. Do you,
I
uh, do you have a tagline on things? Like, I saw something like it was like interviewing like the world's best thinkers or something along that.
oh
I want to
yeah.
be able to like
So the idea is the podcast dedicated to picking the brains of the world's biggest thinkers to help you in life and business. Right? Because I wanted to roll in as many things that piss me off as possible. And when people go, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" I'm like, "So you want to steal what I get paid for and waste my time?" So that's it. Okay, pick the brains. All right, but that's a really good hook for Mind Reader University. It's like, yeah, let's pick the brains of the world's biggest thinkers.
oh no, that's great because that means I'm a world's biggest thinker. So I want to put that out there.
That's you,
Um,
baby.
just to put out like, hey, just got interviewed by blah blah blah, and then when you put this up, whether it's in pieces or a chunk, I'm sure you'll let me know so then
Yep.
I can put that out there again with
You got it.
whatever it
Yeah,
is.
mindreaderuniversity.com will be the hub for all of that. And yeah, it's fun. But yeah, that whole work meaning something, that happened to me when there was a dude who emailed me. He goes, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me." And weirdly, I was like, "Yeah, I do actually." But it was like 5 years before, and he goes, "You spent an hour talking to me after a show, and it totally changed my life. Here's everything I decided to do differently. Here's where I am now, and it all wouldn't have happened if you hadn't talked to me." And I was just really glad that it was in the positive direction. That he wasn't just motherfucking me. So there was that, and now that I started doing the marketing consulting, like I'm talking to business owners who are staring down the barrel, going, "We for 50 years have been using trade shows and word of mouth network to get manufacturing jobs, and now there are no trade shows, and our antiquated process was obsoleted overnight in
Yeah.
March, and we've been trying to put it off, but what do we do? And now they're talking to me, trying to figure out how to save this company that's employing hundreds of people. And if they don't figure out the marketing, they're dead. And then 6 months later, they're going, "This is working like gangbusters. We should have been doing this years ago. Thank you so much." I'm like, that's that's a good feeling, right? Like it's
Or
so
the
weird.
world has got so bad that they finally come to people like us and like, all right, we're ready to try whatever you guys are figuring out.
I know you guys have been shouting this like Cassandra for the past 15 years, but we're now in a bad enough spot that you look like a guru I want to listen to.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
I really think that's what we're calling. I've been calling it failing upwards. It's not accurate because like we both got the actual experience to back that up. But
Mhm.
I call it failing upwards.
I
Just like
love it. And
yeah,
sometimes upwards is lateral, sometimes failing backwards.
yeah,
It's a generally forward trajectory.
yeah.
Yeah.
The tattoo I'm getting. Remember we talked about hope.
Yeah.
I'm getting the Star Wars the Rebel symbol, the Rebel Alliance symbol, not the
Amazing.
Jedi because I'm Sith,
Right?
but the and with the word hope underneath
I like
because
that.
rebellions are built on hope. To survive things, you have to both rebel against what you're being told and you need to have hope. So that's this year's tattoo. I'm getting that.
I love that. I love that.
It's rebellions are built on hope. That's what I'm getting out there.
I
I'll put
like
it.
it.
It'll be on social media Monday night.
Outstanding.
I'll get to
Outstanding.
that. But
Beautiful. Dude, thank you so much for
anytime,
stopping by. And
anytime.
yeah, what an
I'm
adventure
happy
we're on.
to talk, to illustrate things. Um, Cautionary tales. Don't do what he did. All of it, all
Yeah.
of it. But I'm really glad you're doing this. I really hope it works out. It looks like it's got some good legs to it.
Thank you.
Better than most I see.
Yeah, that is part of it is I like kind of insider baseball is early on in March when everything was getting shut down, especially the performers up front. Um there that feeling of camaraderie of we're all going to get through this together. Let's just do anything we can to make things better. And a lot of my performer friends had absolutely the right idea, which was, let's engage with our community and share what we do. The best strategy that they were using was to take their taped live theater show and then put it on YouTube or just stream it. The problem is live entertainment is good if you're in the audience. If you're just watching a video of a person that's not a celebrity that you don't know about and the people they're working with aren't friends of yours, unless you're thinking about booking them and you're familiar with this flat, dead videotape dynamic, it's just not a great way to present yourself, right?
No, and drinking beer alone, watching live stream concerts, which what I did, like I would get in there, I'd even donate, here's $10. I'm on my couch, my TV, and it's that energy disconnect. And I'm really just a sad man drinking alone with his cat.
Yeah.
I'm not at a concert. I don't feel like I'm supporting the community. I'm
Yep.
just sort of drinking alone. And
Exactly.
I
It
didn't
that's
like
what
it.
that's what kept me from doing a streaming show was I don't want on record forever that dead husk of a performance. And then I was like, Jonathan, you're being very problems oriented right now. Let's look at how we can solve this sucker. So then I was like, what are some of the things that you can like make use of and doing the close up and then going, oh, okay. And then yeah, all that multimedia experience and background was coming in handy. And I was like, oh, I don't have any of the equipment, but I know what I need. And then because I have a job, I can fund getting thousands of dollars worth of crazy streaming equipment. But I knew that I was going to be leveraging it for the corporate stuff already too. So it's just kind of like, there's a write off. Yeah, cool. So that was kind of why I wanted to put it all together. And in the podcast is the hub of where all of my mentalism work, and now it's the legitimizer, and I get to pull from all my cool friends and like, hey, I'm doing this thing. And then on the show I can promote, or the podcast I can promote the weekly mind reading show. And it's just kind of all coming together. It's like, yeah, this is awesome. And I've learned a lot from kind of watching people on Twitch, right? Those like,
Oh yeah.
they're the best live streamers on the planet. So let me just go see how this live stream thing works, so that when I'm doing my show, I've got the mentalism tricks going. I'm working in Zoom and I'm streaming it to either YouTube or a performing platform through OBS too. So it's just like watching you run Q's house. You got the faders. You're like, and the two what?
What is he doing? And the whole
Right,
time
like,
I'm like, not pretending that I'm not doing any of all this crazy
right.
stuff.
That was always the most impressive part for me watching as a guest. I'm like, all I got to do is my tricks. He's running a whole goddamn show. Like, this
Camera
is
1, camera 2.
Oh.
I did it all. I'm so like when you, yeah, I don't do my Esquire title was my legitimizer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That now gives me, it was like carte blanche. I didn't like need any, like anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I literally am waiting and looking for something weird to go, I'm gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've even looked into like, what could I do for OnlyFans that would be different and draw attention?
Yeah. I thought about doing like teaching mind reading tricks on there. I think that'd be hilarious.
On OnlyFans, yeah, especially if it's like, take your pants off. Everything you've been accused of. Now
I'm gonna make millions off of it. One $5 sucker at a time.
At least in the last couple of months, I'm in a decent place. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna put my focus on being a professor. It's paying off in emotionally. It's paying off financially. I wish I didn't drive an hour each way, but I listen to podcasts and books on tape.
Yeah.
So that's good. Oh my God, there's a sequel to The Handmaid's Tale and it's terrifying. Don't ever read any of that in 2020. It's
all right.
Just...
Too real.
Oh my God.
Too real.
Oh, it can all happen. Oh, it's happening to me. Oh. But yeah, that's where I really want to put my energy right now. I'm not doing any legal cases. I hate that they've gone to Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're gonna see me, then the camera switches, they see someone else who's ever talking. I don't run my courtroom that way. I run it like a theater. I want you to see everything. I want you to see how my client reacts and is presented. There are words and phrases I have that are designed to get under the skin of either the other attorney or the other person. I want the judge or jury to see that. I want them to see my reactions. And if I can't do that, to me, that's not the value I'm providing to my client. So I don't want to adapt.
Yeah, because we're
like that's that.
Yeah, because we're managing the gestalt, the whole experience, and the virtual environment is such an atomized abstraction of that. And it's so weird because I experienced that in the Zoom shows where people behave so casually on Zoom that they would never dream of doing in a live performance. Like, they'll just turn off their video. That's like going invisible, right? Just be like, oh, I'm sitting here in a theater and suddenly I'm just gonna wink out of existence and then come back whenever I damn well feel like it.
Amazing.
And imagine the whole audience was doing that in a theater, and the performer's trying to act like that's fucking normal. Like, what is that about? That is so
Someone's on their
weird.
phone taking a shit while you're performing.
I yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish we were joking.
Wish that was funny.
I wish that was funny. That's now the title of what we've just done. I wish that was funny.
I wish that was funny. Oh, that's a great title.
If I do another project, I might call it I wish this were funny.
Dude, that's perfect. That's fantastic. Let me hang on.
You're gonna type that in?
Yeah, my first instinct oh, is to snake a URL early so that no jerks get it. I own like 150 URLs. It's a
Nice.
problem. I'm a URL hoarder. So I'm like, this will be the one. This will be the one. Yep.
Yeah.
Wishitwerefunny.com.
So because like until the entertainment part of the legal world comes back to anything viable, and if they do, they're like, oh, I don't have any money. Like, well,
Right.
it does cost something. Do you have food or sandwiches? I'm now back to that. Um, I'm just very fortunate to have what I've got right now. Something that matters to somebody else, that gives me the money that I need, and I still have freedom. I'm home by 4 o'clock every day. I don't have to punch a clock.
Yeah.
I've got all this extra time off. Probably in December, I'll go back to bartending, at least for a couple weeks.
That's awesome. I
Earn
love that
enough
so
for a
much.
vacation to if people allow us to leave from Florida again.
It's like Escape from LA or New York.
We're nuts here. More than you ever thought.
It got
All the things you
worse.
see on TV, it's true.
That's Casual Tuesday, Friday or Florida.
I live downtown. I'm looking at the Dr. Phillips Center and City Hall, like out my window right now. So things happen right there, and I leave and go and join the madness.
Amazing.
I was in all the protests. I got tear gassed. Like I've been in, yeah, like all of it. But Florida's insane. When you hear about how weird Florida is, it's all true.
Very true.
Yep, my dating profile says New Yorker who's embracing the Florida man lifestyle. I don't know why I'm not getting any hits.
Might want to work on that pitch.
Hey, or maybe you find the perfect person.
That's it. Quality over quantity, man. It always comes back.
This is why we're poor. So
But that's the thing. Like both of us, we've lived the lives being broke that most people try to make money in order to live.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay. When people are like, "How are you?" I'm like, "Well, when I turn the lights on, I know the light will come on. There's food in my fridge, and I have premium cable. I can't bitch much more than that. I've got food, I got electricity, in a safe place to live, and I can watch HBO Max. So,
yep,
I'm not doing so bad. Not doing so. Perspective, man. Perspective.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna call it and then get on to the next thing. So, dude,
have a great day. Enjoy your Halloween.
You as well. Go party like the rock star you are.
Yeah, it's amateur night. There's going to be too many people out there that have never been out before, and I'm gonna let them be. I will be out next weekend.
That's one of my favorite jokes. Is oh, we still got 35 minutes left in amateur hour. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's it.
All right, man. Catch
Thank
you later.
As always, I miss you. Love hanging out with you. And one day.
Amen.
One day.